Chapter 8: Social Influence, Socialization, and Organizational Culture. In social settings, especially in groups, people are highly dependent on others. For example, information dependence is the reliance on others for information about how to think, feel, and act. Social information processing theory says that information from others is used to interpret events and develop expectations about appropriate and acceptable attitudes and behaviors. Effect dependence is the reliance on others due to their capacity to provide rewards and punishment. We want group approval on our thoughts and actions and to participate in group goal attainment. Our motives for social conformity are: 1. Compliance. And compliance is conformity to a social norm prompted by the desire to acquire rewards or avoid punishment. By complying, we do not subscribe to underlying beliefs, values, or attitudes. The second form of compliance is identification, and it means conformity to a social norm prompted by perceptions that those who promote the norm are attractive or similar to oneself. We look for models to identify with. The third one is internalization, and it is conformity to a social norm prompted by true acceptance of the beliefs, values, and attitudes that underlie the norm. And in this case, we do it because we think it is right. Social conformity sets the stage for organizational socialization. This is very important. Social conformity sets the stage for organizational socialization. Socialization is the process by which people learn attitudes, knowledge, and behaviors that are necessary to function in a group or organization. I repeat, socialization is the process by which people learn the attitudes, knowledge, and behaviors that are necessary to function in a group or organization. In this graph, we can see the three methods of socialization processes. Socialization methods like realistic job reviews, employee orientation programs, socialization tactics, mentoring, or taking proactive tactics. And in this we have proximal socialization outcomes like learning, task mastery, social integration, role conflict, role ambiguity, person-job fit, person-organization fit. Distal socialization outcomes are job satisfaction, organizational commitment, organizational identification, organizational citizenship, behavior, job performance, stress, turnover. So we have proximal, immediate, distal, longer term. Organizational socialization is dependent on a good fit, and we have two types of good fit: person-job fit, PJ, and person-organization fit, that's PO. Person-job fit is the match between an employee's knowledge, skills, and abilities and the requirements of a job. Person-organization fit is the match between an employee's personal values and the values of an organization. A primary goal of organizational socialization is to ensure organizational identification, the extent to which an individual defines himself or herself in terms of the organization and what is perceived to represent. Organizational identification is the extent to which an individual defines himself or herself in terms of the organization and what it is perceived to represent. Organizational socialization, an ongoing process, can be divided into 3 stages. The first stage is anticipatory socialization, which is in advance of entry. Examples: formal education, summer jobs. It's what we imagine the job like or the organization will be like when we enter it. Second is the encounter, day-to-day reality at organization. Examples are orientations, getting to know boss and co-workers. The third part is role management. Employees actively manage their role in the organization. And this is the third part of the socialization, of the organizational socialization. The first one is anticipatory socialization, then encounter, then role management. And it is employees actively manage their role in the organization, work-life balance, and internalizing organizational norms and values. New recruits have many unrealistic expectations, resulting from occupational stereotyping, media, and recruiters. So, resulting from occupational stereotyping, media, and recruiters, resulting in reality shock. These unrealistic expectations might result in reality shock. The psychological contract is a term used for beliefs held by employees regarding the reciprocal obligations and promises between them and their organization. The psychological contract breach is when an employee's perceptions that his or her organization failed to fulfill one or more of its promises or obligations of the psychological contract related to affective reactions, negative emotions, work attitudes, and behaviors. Intense organizational socialization reduces chance of contract breach. Intense organizational socialization reduces the chance of contract breach. Methods of socialization in organizations may include: 1. The first method of socialization, as we have seen in a previous slide, is 1. Realistic job reviews. The provision of a balanced, realistic picture of the positive and negative aspects of a job to applicants, should provide corrective action to expectation, should encourage self-selection. The second method of socialization is employee orientation programs. And these are designed to introduce new employees to their job, the people they will be working with, and the organization. It has immediate effects on learning, immediately affects learning, and creates lasting effect on job attitudes and behavior. This creates lasting effect on job attitudes and behaviors. Another method is the Realistic Orientation Program for Entry Stress. And here is the acronym ROPS, ROPES, Realistic Orientation Program for Entry Stress. So it is designed to teach newcomers coping techniques to manage workplace stressors. Another method is the Socialization Tactics. Third method is Socialization Tactics. The manner, and it is defined as the manner in which organizations structure the early work experiences of newcomers and individuals who are in transition from one role to another. And they can be collective or individual. They can be formal, segregated, structured, or informal, on-the-job training tactics. It can be sequential, fixed steps, or random. It can be fixed, time frames, or it can be variable in time. It can be serial, socialized by role models, or it can be disjunctive. It can have investiture, affirming identity and attributes of new hire, or divestiture tactics, which compel debasement or hazing. I repeat this last one. Investiture is affirming, identifying, and added attributes of new hire versus divestiture tactics, which comprise debasement or hazing. Here we see a graph and exhibit socialization tactics, and we see the both tactics, how they work. Institutionalized socialization versus individualized socialization. And in context tactics, we have collective versus individual, formal versus informal. And this is context tactics. In content tactics, we find sequential versus random, or fixed versus variable. And we can see here the different content tactics. In social tactics, we have serial versus disjunctive, or investiture versus divestiture. And this is social tactics. Socialization tactics, continued, can be institutionalized or individualized. As we have seen, institutionalized tactics are more formal, structured. They reduce uncertainty. They encourage acceptance of norms and status quo. It results in more positive PJ and PO, person-job fit, or person-organization fit perceptions. It results in higher job satisfaction, organizational commitment, and uniformity of behavior. We continue. We are going to finish this one. Institutionalized versus individualized tactics. On the other hand, individualized tactics are characterized by having absence of structure. They create ambiguity. They encourage new hires to define their own role, resulting in more innovative role orientation. And it provides uniformity of behavior is less likely. Or here, we can say that uniformity of behavior is less likely. We have more socialization tactics like mentoring, which means an experienced or more senior person in the organization who gives a junior person guidance and special attention, such as giving advice and creating opportunities to assist him or her during the early stages of his or her career. Formal mentoring programs, organizationally sponsored programs, or are organizationally sponsored programs in which seasoned employees are recruited as mentors and matched with proteges. Mentors assist with career functions, sponsorship exposure and visibility, developmental assignments, coaching, and feedback. They also provide psychosocial functions like role modeling, acceptance and confirmation, and last, counseling.